Final action on the 2005 city budget came as the Milwaukee Common Council voted to sustain 3 vetoes by Mayor Tom Barrett. The budget includes some cutbacks in library hours, boulevard flower plantings, and street maintenance, no increases in garbage, snow removal, or sewer fees. The city budget is up less than 2% this year. That's well within the state legislature's definition of a tax freeze.
I think we did the best we could with the choices we had. I wish we had had more resources to do more things in terms of whether it be the police department or forestry department or our health department with public health nurses. There's a great need out there in our community, but there's also responsibilities to what people can afford to pay. And it was a careful balance, and I think we are able to provide the essential services that people have come to expect in terms of high quality services to the citizens of this community, and we'll continue toward that and strive toward that.
Mayor Tom Barrett signed the budget that same day, his first and the second year the city has met the tax freeze definition.
What we accomplished in this budget were 2 things that were very important to me. Again, first of all, was keeping the tax levy within the contours of the state legislative tax freeze, but secondly, and equally important, retaining our commitment to public safety.
The final 2005 city tax rate came in at $9.19 per thousand of assessed value, 54 cents lower than this year. Higher assessments will affect the final bill. State legislators in Madison came under fire for what officials call threats to cut state shared revenues.
I made a commitment that I would deliver a budget that would be within the contours of the legislative tax levy freeze. And I did that because I want to send the message to Madison that we have upheld our end of the bargain. Our end of the bargain is to keep the levies locally under control. We have done that. The Common Council did a wonderful job in dealing with these issues.
There was disagreement among aldermen as to whether the 2% number would have any effect on what the legislature does with state aids, but many felt it important to make the point to lawmakers that the city knows, better than the state, how to manage a budget.
I think anyone who would objectively review city versus state finances would find that state finances are simply out of control. And they are trying to balance it on not just Milwaukee, but on all local governments throughout the state. Shared revenue has been really put on hiatus in terms of any increases since 1994. If we had simply had a rate of increase based on inflation, we would have had $19 million more in our coffers today. We'd be able to do a lot more to help the citizens of this community. And they've really put a hold on it. So we have really seen a cut over the years on this.
Why are state shared taxes so important? They amount to 37% of the city's sources of revenue. Property taxes paid by homeowners and commercial properties fund only 26% of city services. The rest of the revenue comes from earnings, grants and aids, and the Tax Stabilization Fund. Where does your money go? Public safety gets the most of your city tax dollar, 46%. The Department of Public Works is next with 28%. General government needs 9% of the bill, followed by neighborhoods and development, the health department, and other programs. Your total property tax bill supports 5 local governments. The city only gets about 1/3 of your tax dollar, another third to Milwaukee Public Schools. 17 cents to Milwaukee County, 7 cents to MATC, 6 to the Sewerage District, and the state takes a penny.
We recognized that it was a producing budget and a balancing act, and it will continue to be that way. But we feel, given the circumstances, that we achieved as good a budget as possible in retaining the services, the necessary services that the people of Milwaukee not only expect but deserve, but also being responsible to the taxpayers as well.
Assessment increases averaging 9% will mean higher bills for many. This year, a home assessed at $100,000 paid $973 for the city portion of the bill. If that home increased 9% in value, the 2005 city bill would be $1,002, an increase of $29. Some specific examples. The assessment on this Brewers Hill home went up 11%. As a result, the city portion of the tax bill is up $127. This home on the near west side, near 18th and Highlands, sees a decrease in the city tax. The assessment stayed the same. The city portion of the tax actually drops $27. On the south side, near 3rd and Washington, a 17% assessment increase for this home. The result, an increase in their city tax bill by $94. The overall net rate for the combined units of government after subtracting the state school tax credit is $25.86 per $1,000 of assessed value. That's 31 cents lower than the 2004 bill. But that $100,000 home with a 9% average assessment increase would have a total combined 2005 tax bill of $2,819, up about $202. The average lottery credit this year is $93. City officials expect the 2006 city budget to be even more of a challenge. Could there be a tax freeze for the third straight year?
I cannot make a commitment of that nature until I know that the state of Wisconsin is not going to abandon this city.
So that they don't abandon the city, Alderman Murphy urges people to let the state know the importance of shared revenues to all local governments.
This city government does manage its money appropriately, and we should not be penalized because we have the majority of poor in the state. We have, I think, the high moral ground on that issue, and it shouldn't be shy about sharing that with their friends and relatives who may not be in the city. In the long term, I think it'll be good for them and good for the state of Wisconsin.
According to a study commissioned by the Federal Trade Commission, over 9.9 million Americans learned they'd been victims of identity theft in 2003 at a total cost of nearly $50 billion. And the FTC says 80% of those who reported had no idea how their identities were stolen.
It's somebody taking somebody else's name, address, date of birth, social security number, any personal information, a credit card number. Now with the law changing as of August 8th of 2003, it includes biorhythmic data and DNA.
Because reports of identity theft are increasing at an alarming rate, the Milwaukee Police Department operates a special crime unit that investigates identity theft.
It's a very serious crime. Under the direction of the new chief here, we've added a couple more detectives to work on these identity theft investigations because of the problem we're having here in the city of Milwaukee. We're averaging approximately 2,000 cases just in identity theft a year. And since we set up a database on it, we can see that every year since 2000 that these offenses have been tripling. Reported offenses to this police department.
A crook needs only a few bits of personal information to get started. Ever had a wallet lost or stolen? Did it contain a social security card, an insurance card? Do you discard credit card receipts in the trash that contain your number and expiration date?
In the city of Milwaukee, we see our two biggest problems are, one, people that have access to this information that should not have access to this information, such as a temporary employee working at a hospital or doing some clerical work at a payroll place where they have access to the social security numbers and the dates of birth. Our second problem we see here in the city, which is real big, is what we call dumpster diving. People actually go through the dumpsters and look through your garbage and come up with those credit card bills that everybody gets every day in the mail, or those applications, and they use that information to obtain phone service or whatever they want. What we see is people open up either utility services because they can't get it under their own name or social security number. We've had individuals that have ordered up computers and they're selling them on the street. People use different names when they go into the hospital so they're not stuck with the bills. Whatever your imagination can come up with, there's no limit to what you can do with the information once you get it.
Identity theft doesn't just mean a financial loss or invasion of privacy. Victims are often considered guilty until they prove their innocence. People whose identities have been stolen can spend hundreds of hours and their hard-earned money cleaning up the mess thieves have made of their good name and credit record. What should you do?
Actually, there's several things, but one of the main things is every month take a look at your credit card statement. Make sure that the purchases that you did are on that statement. If there's something on there that doesn't belong, contact a credit card company. 2, safeguard your mail. There are people that just drive around looking for that red flag up on the mailbox there to see for the outgoing mail, and that they steal that mail and they use it to their advantage. 3, those credit card statements. If you don't have a shredder, at least rip those statements up for credit card applications and get rid of them there. The other thing is just be leery when you're giving your information to somebody, who you're giving your information to and who's standing around you in case they're eavesdropping to get that information. If you feel that you're the victim of an identity theft, check with one of the 3 credit reporting agencies. You only have to check with one now. So under the new federal law, it automatically goes to the other 2 agencies. Second is give us a call at 935-7387. It's a phone tree that we have set up. Go through there, and it explains what information you need to get and what information you should supply to us when you want to make an appointment to come in.
The Internet has opened new avenues for identity theft. Wisconsin's Attorney General recently warned about phishing, a scheme in which thieves send out official-looking emails asking customers to verify credit card or other identifying information. Detective Fisher says computer identity theft is a problem, but people should think about all the ways they use their identifying information, even when paying for a meal.
What happens is you go into a 5-star restaurant in the city of Milwaukee or surrounding area, and you hand your credit card to the waiter or waitress who walks away, and they have a very good chance of either scanning your information into a handheld scanner to get that credit card information, or they copy that information down. I see more of a problem of that happening than anything over the computer.
The building itself at the Villa Terrace I see as the largest and best part of our collection. Lloyd Smith, who was president of A.O. Smith at the time, and his wife had this place built for them, and the architect was David Adler. And the story goes is that Mr. and Mrs. Smith honeymooned in Italy, and they owned 2 parcels of land. This parcel where the villa sits today, and a parcel of land up in Fox Point. And they brought David Adler here, and he took one look over a beautiful bluff to Lake Michigan, and he said, "I will turn Lake Michigan into your Mediterranean." And he basically did that.
Villa Terrace, deeded to Milwaukee County in 1966, is a National Historic Landmark. Volunteers are key to its operation. Many give guided tours of the facility.
Benvenuto alla Villa Sopra Mare. Above the sea, that's what it means. It's above the sea. This is a very Italian 16th century home. One of the main things about David Adler and these Italian villas is that everything is symmetrical. You see the large fireplaces on either end of we call it the Great Hall. It was the Smith living room, truly. Well, we're in the library. And this is all walnut paneling here, and you can see it's in the classical style, which is something that the architect liked to use. He traveled around Europe and visited the great houses when he was over there at school. Now we're in the dining room on the north-east corner of the house. Here we've got a Pecky cypress ceiling again, but Mrs. Smith thought it was too dark in here, so she had it painted. But it brings out the special qualities of the wood that Adler chose for this room. Again, symmetrical. In the butler's pantry, David Adler designed some shelves, and the background has Delft tile, blue and white Delft tile, and he used that in, I think, almost all of his houses. That was one of his trademarks.
Villa Terrace was the scene of a 3-alarm fire in 2002. There are few reminders of that incident. Outside, the Italian Renaissance Garden reopened the same year following a nearly $2 million renovation. Why the name Decorative Arts Museum?
Fine art that we also, of course, have displayed here, paintings, sculptures, exists solely for the sake of art, whereas decorative art, such as the objects we're sitting in, chairs, tables, china, vases, are things that can be used, but of course are also artwork.
Architect Adler's pattern of symmetry is also evident on the second floor, with stairways and doors on both ends of the hallway, even though one door leads nowhere.
Smith family lived here for decades and had tremendous parties, and they were wonderful entertainers, and it seems everybody who came in here could feel that warmth and that welcoming spirit, and that's something that we still today try and let the people of Milwaukee experience. I've often said there isn't anything that the human mind can't create that we can't highlight here at the Villa Terrace.
The sound of the firehouse alarm first called Milwaukee firefighters to duty from this building in 1927. The bungalow-style firehouse, in active service until 1996, Fire Education Center and Museum.
You really don't know where you are until you know where you've been. And you establish a benchmark or a relationship to that too. And I think you have a greater appreciation for what you have, for what your predecessors did and what they had to utilize in order to do their job. We have been able to gather artifacts and memorabilia from the fire service basically from the time the Milwaukee Fire Department started. We have some pretty old pieces of apparatus here, which were hand-drawn and hand-operated. But I personally view this as a firehouse. We've tried to maintain it looking like a firehouse and not like a museum. As if they just walked out the door and left it as it is today. And we've tried to accomplish that.
The center's director is a volunteer firefighter, longtime member of the Milwaukee Fire Bell Club, with an interest in the topic that dates back to when he was a youngster. The center is a joint effort of the Milwaukee Fire Department and Fire Historical Society.
It's a society of people interested in Milwaukee's fire service history. It's comprised of current firefighters, retired firefighters. We have private citizens that are interested in the history of Milwaukee's fire service. We all join together to preserve that history, and this building is a good example of that. It's important, us as a fire service, to remember where we came from, some of the old fire apparatus that we've had, and the people that have gone before us to make it the proud service that it is, that we remember that and that we keep that in mind as we do our duties.
We have some other equipment on display which was not found in a firehouse. We have some examples of the pedestal street boxes here, and those are all hooked up today, and so we can show visitors to this facility just how the alarms used to come in.
The history of the fire service has been one of serving the public. For people to be fire safe, we need to get that message out, and this is one real good way of doing that. We do have a fire education center connected with the museum. We do give classes here for school-age children. We're in the process of looking at doing an elderly safe fire program, and using this building as an education center along with the museum really fits in good with trying to get our fire safety message out to the public.
This is Lincoln Avenue, about 3 miles south of downtown. A healthy stock of functional, original buildings are a highlight of the commercial district from I-94 to 20th Street. A couple of years ago, business owners got together to plan their future. It resulted in the street being named the Lincoln Village Business District, the only street in the city of Milwaukee designated a Main Street under Wisconsin's statewide Main Street program.
The Wisconsin Main Street program really fit in to a lot of the goals that we wanted to achieve on the street. So we applied for it and convinced the state that it was a good idea that not only rural communities but inner city communities like Lincoln Village would be well suited for the program, and we ran with that since then. The Wisconsin Main Street program offers technical assistance to the communities that are involved with it. So they have staff on hand, architects, small business specialists, that can come down, do renderings for people that are looking to rehab the building, offer technical advice with working with their books, making sure that the business is succeeding the way the owners want it to. And it's really a grassroots effort. It really depends on the desire of the community and the business owners to participate in it and to make it successful.
Lincoln Village is now seen as a model for a new Main Street program in Milwaukee. With jumper cables to represent efforts to jumpstart the revitalization of neighborhood commercial districts, Mayor Tom Barrett recently signed a Common Council-passed bill to launch the Main Street Milwaukee program.
Main Streets serve as traditional anchors in our neighborhoods. They serve the shopping needs of residents and create identity for the area. If a Main Street is thriving, the entire neighborhood will thrive. I believe the Main Street Milwaukee program will harness investment in energy in ways that will boost our local neighborhood shopping districts. Jumper cables, as we all know, only work when we make the right connections. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make the right connections throughout our community.
The program will use $350,000 in community development block grant funds. As the mayor said, it differs from other Main Street programs in that it pools together funding from a number of private partners as well.
I'm sure all the contributing corporations here today will be excited to see the positive effects of the Main Street program and what it will do and have an effect it will have on the community. As organizations, we feel it's important to maintain the vibrancy and culture of our neighborhoods, as well as to make them safe and sustainable communities for us to all live and work within.
While Lincoln Village already has the Wisconsin Main Street designation, it will be among those within the Community Development Block Grant areas applying for the city program.
The programs in and of themselves are very similar, but one advantage that the city program offers is funding for operations and services as well. It becomes very important that you have a full-time staff person and that can help facilitate the volunteer efforts on the street. And as of our 3-year mark, we've helped out with 16 facade grants. There's been a net gain of 12 new businesses on the street and 62 new full-time jobs. We just recently completed a lighting project to add harp lights, pedestrian level to the street to brighten up the mood, make it more pedestrian friendly. These are tangible benefits that the business owners in the community see, and they become encouraged by and want to see more changes. So the involvement increases in that. And we're really encouraged by the mayor coming down here to make the announcement acknowledging the positive momentum on here. It really sells the program and what we've been doing on the street, that Main Street Milwaukee can be very successful.
Chet and Leona's Flower Shop has been on Lincoln Avenue for 53 years, 50 in this location. The family-run business has given its support to the Main Street effort.
Been extremely good. Those days it was a lot of people walking up and down the street. It was a neighborhood. You knew everybody in the neighborhood. I mean, we went through a lot of things here, right here in this location.
Jim is hopeful the Main Street program will bring back more of that walk-in business, as well as shoppers from throughout the community. He says the mayor stopped in to visit.
He wanted to know how long we were in business and have I enjoyed being on this street. I said, definitely. I was born and raised in this area. I'd like to stay in this area. I hope to see this area become more of a neighborhood shopping area. We've lost a lot of big leader stores, you know. We had Stein's Christian Furniture. We had A&P Grocery was right up the street here. Those are all gone. And it's more become what it used to be, the corner grocery store. And that's going back to those eras again, you know, where you wanted a loaf of bread, you went to the corner. You didn't, now you have to go to a major shopping center. Yet that corner stuff is coming back again, which is good.
Terrace Hermanos is among a number of ethnic restaurants on Lincoln Avenue. Its owner says he's seen many new businesses since he started 10 years ago and also supports the Main Street program.
We're really happy to be here on Lincoln Avenue. We've been very successful, and now with so many programs that are coming here with us, you know, I think it's going to be great to be here, you know, on Lincoln Avenue. As you know, there's a lot of historical buildings here on Lincoln Avenue, And I think it's a great street to be doing business.
Among the signs showing revitalization are signs of the Business Association, Benny's Pizza, and Studio One signs, all made by another businessman on Lincoln Avenue. Mike Pietraszewski is chair of the Business Association's design team. He's been making his hand-carved and other custom signs in this Lincoln Avenue shop for about 2 years.
It's not a lot of things that people still do, but I enjoy it, and I enjoy being where I am in the neighborhood. I've lived in the neighborhood for 35 years, so as a matter of fact, my house is about a block and a half away, so I can walk to work on the nice days. But other than that, it's been a very good area, good people, and getting better all the time. What we try to do with the design committee is come up with ways to help new people coming into the street design manufacturing of their signage or designs of their new buildings or facade grants, things like that. All in all, everything's been working very well. This neighborhood, it was declining for a little while, and with the help of the cities and the Main Street program, I mean, it just gives people incentive to come here and be a part of the community and kind of give people a sense of security, knowing that somebody's there working with them, you know, not only to help their business grow, but to help the community, which in turn helps everybody. Everything is just moving forward, and it gives people incentive to come here and be a part of Lincoln Village.
Lincoln Avenue began as a dense commercial street catering to Eastern European residents. Today it draws many other ethnic customers as well. And the association says the population density here and in other inner-city neighborhoods should be a draw for local and national businesses.
The purchasing power, because of the density of the neighborhood, is stronger twice as much as it is on the North Shore and 5 times as much as it is in Franklin and Oak Creek. There's a misnomer that there's a lot of low income here and they don't have income to be spending on other things. That's not the case. People are leaving the inner cities and spending money elsewhere, so it is our job to make sure that we can provide the goods and services to the community within itself and also attract other people throughout the metro area to our businesses. And the funny and interesting thing that I'm seeing now is you look at Midtown, but more specifically Bay Shore and Brookfield Square. They're going through multi-million-dollar plans now to refurbish the exteriors to make it look like a main street. And we have that already in place here with Authentic Turn of the Century.